Just talking ACC, SEC. Now let's talk SEC, SEC. We're starting to get into some conference play here, which I think will give us some fantastic matchups as we move forward. Number 22, Auburn at number 11, Oklahoma. There was an element here of homecoming. Jackson Arnold, the starting quarterback for Auburn, transferred from Oklahoma after the 2024 season, and John Mateer, the Oklahoma quarterback that is currently in first place in the Heisman Trophy voting, transferred as the best transfer quarterback in the class and took Arnold's spot as the Sooners' man under center. Now, Arnold had success at Oklahoma, led Oklahoma during last year's upset of Alabama, but he couldn't replicate that magic against the Sooners on Saturday. And the main reason was, for Oklahoma, it was a sack attack. Oklahoma set a school record by sacking Jackson Arnold 10 times last night. Oklahoma pass rusher Mason their main pass rusher, Mason Thomas, he missed the entire first half due to a targeting penalty called last Saturday against Temple in Philadelphia. His second play back in the third quarter of this game, he got a sack and then later sacked Arnold for a safety in the end zone with a minute remaining to crush all hope that Auburn fans had in this game of scoring that final touchdown and potentially taking the lead. I think with Brent Venables calling the defense, Oklahoma is going to be very, very tough. They held the Tigers to 287 yards. The defensive linemen accounted for 8.5 of Oklahoma's 10 sacks. That front line is dangerous. They are going to really, really battle with a lot of good SEC teams this year, and that doesn't negate how the offensive lines are with the other SEC teams, but just proves that Oklahoma's defensive front is very, very good. Jackson Arnold was under pressure all night. 46% of his dropbacks, he was under pressure. And that's a tough spot to be, especially with all the noise surrounding this game for Arnold. And for the other quarterback, for John Mateer, he entered the day as my best quarterback in college football. He's the real deal. He was the number one transfer quarterback in the country for a very, very good reason. And it was then time for the entire Oklahoma team to showcase what else it could do. For me, I knew what I was getting with John Mateer. He's going to develop each and every week into an even greater player than we already believe him to be. But the defense, they obviously stepped up against Auburn, right? We talked about the front line. The biggest problem, still the run game. A very much question mark for Oklahoma going forward, and something that I know I'll be looking for and wondering when will they get this run game going, because the Sooners, they got even less out of their run game than they had in games thus far this season. 32 yards on 26 carries. Mateer, he made the plays when they needed it, but they have to get a run game going for them to do real damage in the SEC, in my opinion. Now, for Auburn, let's look at what the biggest news has been online since this game had ended. And I want to start by saying this. Officiating is never easy. I never wish to be in the spot with the amount of pressure and the amount of things relying on these officials to make good calls. They're put in that position every single game. That is their job. It's part of it, but it is never easy. But when the SEC has to release a statement about a play that gave Oklahoma basically a walk-in touchdown in the early minutes of that second quarter, you know the officials might just have missed one. And outside of some pass interference misses, some questionable calls, the sheer amount of penalties called in this game against Auburn, I think I learned more about this Auburn team by their toughness, because they never gave in. And with Auburn so far, they played Baylor. They did their thing on the road. I expected they would be okay on the road, which they were for the most part, especially on defense. But the toughness, they played 2 cupcakes at home going into an Oklahoma team that's proven that they can beat good teams, as they did against Michigan a couple of weeks ago. But I learned a lot about this Auburn team and their toughness in this one. The defense was impressive on the outside. They forced Mateer to have tough throws, to fit the ball into tough spots, make tough plays, and make decisions that he didn't want to make. They made the running game even more difficult on the inside. Keldrick Falk especially had a sack in this game, plenty of tackles. They're a tough group, and I think Freeze has really beat them into that toughness mentality and has them going, has them ready to compete at a very, very high level. I think they're going to do some damage. Auburn fans, do not panic. You've got a good team. You've got a coach that recognizes that. I would love to see Arnold exercise his arm and be more confident in it. Like, we got to remember, this guy was a top high school player in all of America coming in as a freshman at Oklahoma. This guy can make plays. He can do it. He hasn't thrown an interception yet. We haven't seen him make many mistakes. I would love to see a guy like Jackson Arnold cut loose. He's got receivers galore. Cam Coleman made a big difference yesterday. He's a guy that if they don't start getting him the ball, I could see, unfortunately, that guy going somewhere else where he would be utilized in an offense, because the time he's been at Auburn, it just hasn't really come to him. And the ball needs to get to a receiver as good as Cam Coleman. It got to Eric Singleton, I thought, yesterday. I think he had north of 60 yards. But I would love to see Jackson Arnold cut loose a little bit. A tough one here for Auburn fans. The last drive and how it went with penalties, getting pinned in your own end zone, and then the safety at the end basically to call the game. 24-17. Number 11 Oklahoma beats number 22 Auburn. Good teams here, though. And I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do moving forward in SEC play. It's going to be tough conference play for both of these programs, but I think it'll be a good test, and I think you'll see some upsets on both ends.